something, particularly when it's connected with India's icon as such. It enhances its value manifold. It's something like that.
Not really. See, normally what I have been made to understand, and I also sort of understand, is when you are looking for quality, even let me talk about my own business. So when you are making a film, a lot of people turn around and say that you make big budget films, and it's not that you sit down and say let's make an expensive film. But when you start looking for quality, from the quality of the lens that you use for the camera, from the speed of the film that you're choosing to shoot an evening sequence, from the light, like an HMI, I'm speaking technical things in my field because of the watch, and I'm sure Ravi can explain more. But when you start looking for quality, so that the product looks of a certain standard, that when you go and pay 146 rupees in a multiplex to see it, it seems worth it, even if the story doesn't rivet you, and even if the film doesn't do well. The quality part of it is made sure is relevant to every audience. And when you do that, you need to spend money. I mean, it's not something that you do out of just a flippant thought like, let's spend money for this. So when a brand actually does become a brand, because it's been serving quality for a certain period of time, specifically in watches and perhaps even in cars, high-end cars. So when they are doing research, like for example, I needed a watch for Main Hu Na. I needed a specific strap for the watch, so I requested Ravi. It took them 3 months. And they gave me the strap I wanted, and I said, look, I could have done this here. And they said, yes, we could have done it in China also. But as a rule, not that Chinese products are inferior, we are going for a high-end product. This strap, the new machine has been developed in Switzerland, or one of the factories they were working with, and then we made the strap for you for only 2 watches. And they have that machinery now. So the idea is that they try to make sure that when a watch reaches you, it does not feel, "Arey, yaar, ye to bandi ho gayi. Iska to dial loose ho gaya." So keep that, I guess, somewhere you have to use high-end products or develop them yourself. I don't know if I mentioned it to you. That watch's mechanism is what has been mentioned as one of the inventions. It works on a different system than normal watches. It works on a motor car engine kind of a system, perpetually moving. So all these innovations cost, because the R&D that goes into is expensive. So I think somewhere down the line, it's not just the brand name or the respect for the brand rises because the price is high. I think because of the quality, the price necessarily goes a notch higher than other things.
Thanks, Shahrukh, for that. And I just would add on the technical front one aspect. It ran from very inception, 1860, always had kept sports at the heart, at the core of its brand building as such. We have all that. But then each watch expresses itself differently. The lifestyle, the trend, and all that aspect express very differently each one. For example, Monaco is a classic, which now is presented with technicality involved in it as well. Similarly, there's a Link and there are other watches. There is a watch which was designed 3 years back, not to wear a watch. Why? Because it is the weight on the wrist which really does come in between. And he invented a watch with only 45 grams of weight. The crown sits on the side, etc. Again, we work with exception to create something very, very special. And that leads to this. So there are watches, and that watch is not...
The watches should be such that everyone can afford them truly. I mean, we have to keep the kind of market we have in India to begin with. And that was one area that we tried to make sure that the watches are affordable. They will still be expensive, but you have to keep in mind they're long-lasting products. Apart from that, I think there are rules in terms of watches as far as duties and concessions are concerned, which keep you from trying to really lower the price. There is a certain range you come and get stuck because of the technicalities involved in all the duties and concessions and subsidies, etc. that happen through the government rules. But one's idea is to make a watch which is quality and affordable. And that's what I keep talking to Ravi and say. So I bought my first watch, a Tag, when I was 27 or 28, I think, because that's the only time I could afford. So I was hoping people would afford it a little earlier. And that's the whole concept for India, that they don't have to wait till they're 26 and become a movie star to buy a Tag. They can buy it a little earlier.
In fact, the question the other gentleman had asked earlier, that really links to your, is the big is beautiful. Most women are wearing big watches because it's a matter of attitude. Elegant and all that is passage.
Genuinely, I mean, I'm not trying to justify or try to shirk away from responsibility as a person who stands by the product that one is talking about, bringing it to the people. I don't sell it to the people. I make people aware of the product, whether it's Tag or Pepsi. And these are hugely quality-conscious companies over 100 years old all over the world. Now, in some part of our country, one has decided that maybe the quality is not good enough. And if it is not, a central agency would take a stand and say, okay, don't sell it. If they don't sell it here, who am I advertising it for? Who am I being a brand ambassador for? And that really is the truth. And I'm not trying to justify and answer this question. But there are more pesticides in mother's milk, there are more pesticides in the water that we drink. No. So that is a different thing. You haven't tested those. But if a decision has to be taken, it has to be not taken by me. It has to be taken by the central agencies, which has, I'm sure, already given them a directive earlier on when they entered our country. And I'm sure these companies, the cola companies, all of them, will put up their case forth and say, look, this is how it stands.